and we should be good to go. Hello everybody. Yeah, my name is Brian Locke, and I don't know what to say at the start of these things, but I try to stream every Monday at this time. Streaming projects to do with Arduinos or ESP8266s. Yeah, I originally had the time for this wrong. Michael pointed it out to me on Twitter that it was for like 6:30 in the morning or something. So you can probably hear things being squeaked in the background and stuff like that. That is because I have the door open, because I'm home alone with my daughter, and so I need to keep an ear out for her. I think she's still awake as well, so if you hear a baby shouting down the hall good night or night, that's what that is. Yeah, and that squeaking noise that you can hear, if you can hear it, is my dogs chasing a squeaker around. Okay, so hey Gregor, Michael, and hey Gary. Okay, cool. Right, so again, sorry about the mix-up with the time for the schedule. Yeah, I probably know why that happens, so I need to just be careful that it doesn't happen again. Okay, so back to the project at hand. So it's been a few weeks since we looked at this last, but so it was the alarm clock project using the ESP8266, a cheap 4-digit 7-segment display, and then this buzzer. Hey, Crocoduck, how is it going? Yeah, so I don't think this is the same ESP8266. I think it's the one that I soldered on yesterday's stream. I'm not sure where the one I was using in this is gone. Greg, was yesterday's stream a new record? I don't think so. I think I have one that went on longer than that. I was exhausted after yesterday's stream. I was so tired. And then I had to go cook as well. So yeah, I think I have one that was longer though. Let me just have a quick look. My channel. Yeah, I'm pretty certain I had one that was longer anyways. Back in the early days of me streaming, because I don't know if you remember it or not. How long was yesterday's? 3:49. Oh, it is. It's the longest by 5 seconds. Though my stream on adding Wi-Fi controls to a remote control car was 3 hours and 49 and 1 second, and yesterday's was 3 hours 49 and 6 seconds. Yeah, so I used to stream in my dad's office because my internet wasn't good enough here, and yeah, so I wanted to make it worth my while. Good morning, Unexpected Maker. Unexpected Maker and Greg are both coming to us from Tuesday morning. I think Greg said he was from New Zealand, if I remember right, yesterday, and Unexpected Maker is from Australia. So good morning to you guys. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna need to do with this is bring back up the code, because I completely forget it, and also I need to reprogram it because I don't think it is the correct thing anymore, or running the correct software. I don't think it's running anything. So let's bring up my Arduino IDE. Hello, Patty. Good evening to you, sir. It's the first time somebody called Patty sir without you're making a scene. Yep. Okay, cool. Let's bring up screen share and me. No screen share. I could probably tidy up this a little bit. Logitech me. Oops, come back. That line is not perfect. Why don't you snap OBS? Okay, last try. It's fine. That will bother me greatly, that mark over here, but it's fine. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is fix up this SSID stuff, because I don't think I've ever programmed my correct credentials on here. So let me do that now. Will I? Yeah, let me do that now. The weather in Ireland is due to be really cold. It's kind of cold at the moment, but not anything crazy. No, it's not raining. It's going to snow this week, which is actually unusual enough for us. So again, what I'm just doing here is I'm typing in my password, or SSID and password off screen. I'm gonna upload the sketch to the board, and then I'll change it back and uncomment out the begin. Yeah, Gary is right. We're not prepared for this stuff, but then again, we get it so little that it doesn't really. I guess it doesn't really pay us to be prepared for it. Yeah, so yesterday I did a stream around finishing off an LED matrix, as Greg mentioned. It was 3 hours and 49 minutes long. I expected it maybe to be an hour or two, so yeah, that happened. I got it finished, but the biggest thing that went wrong for me, I don't have easy access to it, is I tried to fit it in too small of a case. The case, like the ESP or the Wiimotes, fit into the case okay, but just by the time I fit everything else in, it was just so tight and awkward that it made it slightly hard to do. And yeah, but like, if you are confused to what this thing is still compiling. Yeah, that is a good idea. This is kind of weird. No, oh, this is one of the jumpy parts. Where is the LED matrix? Oh, there's something. Preview is not working too great. Still compiling there. I find if I do that, I sometimes navigate to it, but also this is now attached to, this is being commented in on my GitHub, and like I would need to add that to the ignore, which I'm definitely going to forget to do, so I'm just going to leave it for the moment. So yeah, this case, it fit the Wiimote fine, but it was just too small. By the time you put both of these things in, it just did not have the room for it. So but what I was doing was, I had made one of these LED matrices. Upload failed. Let me just try again. I had made one of these LED matrices it was for my daughter. Yeah, where I wonder, does this count as like me freebooting or whatever? Watching myself twice. Actually, what's kind of funny as well is I'm here too. So yeah, so it was one of these LED matrices with NeoPixels. As mentioned on the stream, I think like maybe the first like 40 minutes of the stream is kind of interesting. I'm not too sure if the rest of it is, if I'm being honest, but I don't know, whatever people think. But yeah, it's a project I want to revisit again, because I think there's ways of making it easier than I did. So yeah, I would like to make it as good as or easy as possible. But yep. Alright. I saw a message down in the bottom of my OBS there, encoder overload, which I had never seen before. But okay, so that is it uploaded. So now let me just comment back in Wi-Fi begin and revert SSID and stuff to password, and away we go. Okay, cool. Right, let me save that. So yeah, so I have, it's pretty simple code so far. If we just go back over for 2 seconds here, we have my setup where I'm initializing the display. I have a pin for the alarm, which I'm setting to be low. I'm connecting to the Wi-Fi. The reason I've that commented out because it'll automatically connect to the last connected Wi-Fi, which I had saved. So if I comment that out, it means that my dummy values for SSID and password won't get used, but the ones I had already uploaded will. And what else do we have here? So we are also creating a web interface because we can set the alarm through that, and we got that working the last time actually. We have a time client, which is an NTP client, so it's fetching the time from the internet, and that's pretty much it. Handle alarm set, so this is an endpoint. This is an endpoint when set alarm is called, so I can just bring that up pretty quickly now. And then what else do we have? Sound alarm, which is just literally beep something. We might try and make that a bit quieter. I don't know if my daughter's gonna sleep yet. And then in the loop, it's literally just every 1 second it's updating the time, or it's updating the time from the NTP server, it's updating the time on the display, and it's blinking the dots, and then it's checking for the alarm, and if the alarm is set, it'll go. Right. Cool. I think Michael had a suggestion the last time about fixing this, that it shouldn't be 1 second loop due is now plus, excuse me, it shouldn't be now plus 1,000. It should be instead of 1 second due, it should be the last time the alarm rang, and it should be if the last time the alarm, if now minus the last time the alarm rang is greater than 1,000. That was more protective of overflow after 40 days, but I'm not going to worry about this at the moment. And then this display time is just converting the epoch time into the correct digits for the LED. Yeah, there's a lot of work in that LED matrix, Michael. Don't commit to saying you'll make one for someone before you do whatever research about it. It's the cutting out the dividers, that makes up the squares is the hard part. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's get into it. So I thought the first thing that would be a good idea would be to give myself a button to turn it off, because I can't at the moment. There's no way of turning it off. So let's do that first. Switches. Okay. Just so you know as well, this will probably be a short enough stream because I'm pretty tired today. A lot of it was from yesterday's stream, but also just had a fairly long day at work too, so This will probably be a short one, or else I'll fall asleep. Right. Okay, so let me show you what I'm doing now. So I just moved the buzzer over to the side. I'm going to put in a button. One good tip I got from somebody before is if you never remember which way the buttons are connected, like, you know, which one is the gap across, and you know, that gets closed when you press the button, and which ones are always connected. So like the first thing you can do is use your multimeter, and it's these two. The ones that are closest to each other are the ones that are connected. So there's two legs there and there's two legs that side. So the top two are connected and the bottom two are connected. But if you can't remember that, there is a nice handy trick that works regardless. So I'll just get some more cables. Actually, I might have some shorter ones. So there's a nice little trick that if you use the opposite side, so a diagonal across from each other, then regardless of what way you thought was the correct way of wiring it, this will work. So yeah. So I'm going to connect down to, is that long enough? It is just about long enough, I think, is it? I could move the button a bit closer to the Wiimouse as well. No harm in that. So I'm going to connect into D2 here, and then also into one of the legs of the button. I don't know if I did a good job explaining what I meant there, but yeah, so now I'm going to connect the other leg of the button to ground, right? And I don't know if some of you are like, where is your pull-up resistor or pull-down resistor? But the ESP8266 has an internal pull-up that you can use. So normally how you would wire a button is you would also connect, so if this is the side that is connected to the digital input pin, you would put a pretty big resistor, like a maybe even like a 100k or a 10k or something like that, to the opposite of where the other signal is going. So I have the green wire connected to ground, so in this case I could connect with a pretty big resistor this to 3.3 volts. So when the button is not being pressed, the pin is being pulled high, but then when the button is being pressed, the signal will take the least path of resistance basically, and the signal on D2 would be low. Yeah. So, but there's an internal pull-up resistor that you can use, which is nice. It saves an extra bit of wiring, and that's all you need for wiring up your button then. So let's do that. Ooh, I think my mouse's scroll wheel is starting to break, but oh well. Let's get on it. Yeah, so hello to Twitch has gone barren. There is nobody there. Sorry, Twitch people. And yeah, I made a Wi-Fi NTP based world clock based on Marco's C's example. I don't know who Marco C is. He's an ESP32 and an 8x8 LED module, a full-size one using your wall-mounted LED matrix. That's actually a cool idea. There's actually a problem with it though, that 10 by 10 isn't big enough. It's not wide enough. You need 3 squares across for each digit. Actually, you just get away with it. So I was thinking that you wouldn't have spaces, so like the two like hour digits would be mixing into each other or whatever. But I guess you could make one like red and one blue, and then they wouldn't mix into each other, and they'd look fine, and you could have them tied to each other. So actually, no, I'm still wrong. Three. Yeah. So if each digit needs to be three, I guess you might get away with it if it was just a 12-hour clock, because the first digit could only ever be one, but then you need a divider in the middle. Yeah, it's not big enough. You need, yeah, 3 per digit, and then a divider in the middle. So that's 13. So not big enough. But yes, everything should be made using LED matrix displays. If you want a word clock. Okay. Ah, yeah, cool. Yeah, that would work. All right. Sorry, I thought you said word clock, but I read it as world clock. So sorry, I'm very tired. Yeah, if another cool use of NeoPixels and displays. I think Unexpected Maker is doing a stream on, is it Wednesday morning, of version 2 of his 7-segment displays made out of NeoPixels, which I'm looking forward to. Okay, so let's get into this. It's been a while since I did anything with a button, but let's try to remember. So let's first hash define button, I guess, and it's on pin D2. Cool. And now in our setup, let's give ourselves pin mode. And what did I call it? Button? It'd help if I spelled pin mode right. I think I called it button. And so you can do input, if I could type, you can do input here, and that would work as a standard input, but you'd need to have its own external pull-up, or then you can do input pull-up, I think. Yeah. So that gives it, I think it's a 10K pull-up resistor attached to the GPIO pin. So now what I have done here, so just the button connected to ground into that should work fine. So let's add a check for that in our loop. So now I'm not going to turn off the alarm anymore. How do I do that? Sound alarm. Check for alarm. If it's the right thing. Yeah, so I just amn't going to handle the alarm. Yeah, here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. Yeah, so previously I was just sounding the alarm and then automatically turning it off afterwards. But now I want the button to do it instead. So Unexpected Maker, check out one button. It's an awesome callback based button library that handles stuff like single click, double click. That sounds pretty nice. Let's go by that. I like the sound of not having to I presume it handles debouncing and stuff too, which I'm all for. Maybe holding down the button is a good idea too. Okay, I'm sure there's people groaning all over the place that I'm pulling in a library to handle my button being pressed, but Okay, so the first thing I would normally do with a library is go look at its examples, and we have a simple one button, seems like a good one to start. So button attach, double click, button tick, keep watching the push button. What is that parameter? Button A1 equals true. What is the true about? Static int. Reverse the LED. I just want a single click. Yeah, it's weird that the example doesn't have, the simple example doesn't have single click. It's blink machine. Sounds fancy. I do not know what that true is. Why wouldn't it tell me? I don't know. I'm losing my will to learn here. Why wouldn't you tell me in the example what that true is? Int active. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll do it some other time. I'm not able to process that at the moment. Thanks for the suggestion though, and thanks Michael for backing it up. So I'll just do something simple, like if I don't need to do it here, I'll just make a new one, which is, I don't need to make a new one at all. If, what is it, digital read button equals low, right. Then I want to make alarm handled equals true. All right. That should do it, I think. So digital read button. No, that's okay. I derailed myself. Digital read. Button equals low. So if it's low, handle the alarm. Okay. Let's see how that goes. So let's upload. Anybody working on any cool projects at the moment? Seeing as this will take a minute to upload. I haven't worked on anything now other than the stream from yesterday and yeah, and then today. Yeah, I'm not actually 100% sure what my next video is going to be on. I was hoping for it to be on controlling a remote control socket using an Arduino. But the remote control sockets I have aren't working with the RC switch library at the moment, so I've kind of opened an issue in GitHub, or I've commented on an issue in GitHub, and hoping that somebody can help me out with that one. Yeah, I think it's just the format of the message that it's sending out. I can see that it's sending something, but it just it doesn't work if I repeat it, so the library doesn't seem to recognize the format of it, so it's not reading it in correctly. So yeah, that's that thing. And this is still compiling. This is taking its time. Yeah, my wife did some editing of a 3D print as well. This is we have one of these. Oh, it failed. We have one of these, or two of these. They're safety locks for wardrobes. Yeah, so like it goes on top of the wardrobe door, or not wardrobe, kitchen cupboard, and then this goes underneath the counter and screws up into it. So like to open the counter or the cupboard, you need to pull down this, and it actually works pretty well. We had bought a couple ones from like the shop or whatever, and our cupboards were too far underneath the counter for it to fit, so I found one on Thingiverse that was pretty much these, but the person was sticking them up with glue and or kind of double-sided sticky tape, and I didn't that wasn't working out great for me, so I oops. Okay, so there's the time, correct? 22:02. I probably should have put a serial print in here so I could tell if this was working without having to set an alarm first, but I'm a rebel. What is my IP address? Just reset this so it'll tell me. It's 37. Here's my lovely alarm setting web page. So it's 22:04. Send alarm. That seems like a weird yeah, so it's not great, is it? Setting alarm to 22:4. Oh well. I think that's fine though. I just would normally need to pad out the minutes, but for this case I think it'll work out alright. So now in a minute's time it'll hopefully start beeping. Still on 22. Oh, you can't see. Still on 22:03. Again, so it's beeping and it's not stopping. And my dogs hear it now. Okay, so you might have noticed there that I needed to hold the button down, and that is because what's happening here is the button only gets red. The button only gets red here, right? Which happens every 1 second. So for the other times in a second, this doesn't get called. So if I just click the button and it's doesn't happen to be while this is being read, this isn't ever the case. So there's a way you can get around this, and you use interrupts. So let's grab an example of that. Arduino immersion bot. So this is actually one of my first Arduino projects. I don't know if I talked about it before on the channel or not. So it doesn't work anymore, but this is the thing for controlling my hot water in my house. It's called an immersion. I don't know if it's in other countries. A water heater, I guess. And yeah, so I just wanted a way of being able to turn this on and off using using an Arduino. So I made a Telegram bot for it, and yeah, a little motor, 3D printed a case. So the problem was that the light is pretty, the switch is pretty small. The switch is pretty small, and it just was hard to get a grip onto it. Like, I used Sugrue and super glue to try attach this extender to the light, and it worked pretty well for 4 or 5 months. But then it started to get loose, and it would, you know, you'd send a message to say that it was flicked, but it didn't flick, and you didn't really know that it didn't flick. So yeah, I actually bought a new switch for it. That is more flat, but I haven't gotten around to doing that. If anybody wants to do that for me, I would nearly pay them. Or yeah, it's been on my to-do list for too long. I just am the best at 3D design, so it's kind of like, how am I going to achieve this? It's a pretty stiff switch though, so I reckon I would need to use a bigger servo. I do have a bigger servo, I just haven't gotten around to it. But one thing I did have in this was I had interrupts. So attach interrupt on rising to toggle button pin. That's because I had, if we look back at the circuit diagram, I had 2 buttons as well. So not only could you telegram it to turn on or off the immersion, you could press a button that was beside the switch there as well. So yeah. And the reason why it's handy for ESP8266 projects especially is because if your ESP8266 is making a request to Telegram or to Google Maps or whoever, whatever API, again, that will suffer the same problem. So it's gone off doing whatever connection it needs to do for like a minute. So if you press the button while it's making the request to Google Maps or Telegram, the button press won't get read. But if you use interrupts, it will get read. So you basically, I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm, where is it? Process toggle button, turn boost on, is it? No, process boost button. Yeah, so, no, interrupt toggle button, yeah, this is it. So basically what it's doing is it's just setting a flag. It's setting a flag that will get handled by the loop later. So it sets this toggle button press to be high, and then inside the loop it processes the toggle button. And if we go up and look at process toggle button, it checks for a cooldown and then checks if the toggle button was pressed or not. So yeah, we're going to use something similar here. I don't think we need to do much about cooldowns or anything. So we just, yeah, we're gonna take these interrupts and throw them in there. So let's grab this one. So it's part of the setup. I guess after it's connected there. So button, we'll call it the interrupt button. We'll do it on rising, yeah, why not? And then we'll do button pressed, and we'll set that as false, I guess. Okay, so if we go back to our thing here, and we'll just grab this button pressed. I don't think I really need much from it now, to be honest. It's not called interrupt boost button, it's called interrupt button. I'm going to comment out the serial because I don't think I probably should be doing serial prints inside an interrupt. And I'm going to read the pin. So really what I want to do here is just check, is the alarm handled? And that will set it to false. Yep, that's all fine. So interrupt button's pressed, so if I just do this, I guess, digital read equals that. So button pressed is equal to digital read button is equal to low. So if I don't know if that's right, because I'm looking for the rising. I guess maybe that won't work out. Let's take a look at what my options are. Interrupt. What is it? Interrupt. Attach interrupt Arduino. It's been a while since I looked at this. Yep. So you can trigger it when the pin is low. Yeah, I guess I can just use that. So, I don't even know. Do I need to do a digital read then? If I just trigger it when it's low, probably not. Yep, that sounds pretty good. I actually don't use buttons that much in my Arduino projects. I normally I use web interfaces as my interfaces to them. So yeah. Okay. So because this should only get called now when it's low, it should call button pressed equals to true. So now instead of, where is it? In my loop, instead of doing this, we'll do this. So if button pressed is that, I do alarm handled, and I guess I make this false again. Yep, it should work out, I think. Alright, let's upload it. See how we get on. Ooh, another thing that I should do as well. So this works out okay. Oops. This works out okay in terms of this would make it usable. Oops. As an alarm clock, which is kind of what I was hoping for at the end of the stream. But what I should do is I should be saving the alarm to persistent memory. So if the Arduino restarts, that it's not lost, which it currently would be. So if I set the alarm, then the Arduino restarted at some stage overnight for whatever reason, it wouldn't have an alarm set anymore. So what we'll do is we'll load it into spiffs and get that working. If you're not familiar with spiffs, it's pretty cool. It's like a file system on the Arduino, or on the ESP. So let's bring in my Lucky, or yeah, the window to see. Oh sugar! I just missed my a change of time. So let's send alarm. Some response here would be pretty nice too, I would say, to say your alarm has been set or whatever, but it's a work in progress. So hopefully this works now. just gonna put my finger in front of it to begin with. Yeah. Did everyone have a good weekend? Mine was pretty good, relatively productive. Well, that's not good. So my button isn't working. So I have a feeling it could be that low code that maybe it doesn't get called when it's low. I'm not sure. So let's take a look. I'm attaching an interrupt to button, which is D2. I'm calling interrupt button when it's low. So maybe that's not happening. Let's do a serial print. I'm presuming it's not happening. So let's just upload. I'm just gonna leave the alarm plugged out for the minute. So I'm uploading again. Got a couple more things in the post from AliExpress today as well, so I'm building back up my post bag. I'm not sure what either of them are. They're both of them said like circuit board on them or something. One of them's kind of heavy. Maybe it's those double-sided boards, double-sided perf boards. I thought they'd be pretty useful for some occasions. Just log into AliExpress when it's done. It's already uploaded. Let's bring up the serial monitor. Yeah, so this isn't registering anything. So let me try this rising, because that's what I had working for me before. Yeah, I've still a good lot of stuff from AliExpress to come. Yet it could be these ones. What's handy about these is that both sides are, you can solder to either side, as far as I remember. Which doesn't sound all that useful, but say a tiny shield. The tiny shield that I made, it was kind of awkward to solder the pins to it, so that the issue is that, like, with these standard breadboards, you have one I don't know where any male headers are. Had some floating around, but I don't see any at the moment. But yeah, basically, like, with your male headers, you can push it in this way, and then if you're, the other point sticking out here, and you could solder to that, and that would be fine. Except, what was the problem with that? Then you would want your tiny to be on the top here, but here, but you can't solder to that side, so your tiny wouldn't fit on the top. So yeah, if you had the double-sided ones, like behind the screen there, you would be able to do that, no problem. So yeah, I thought it'd be kind of useful to have them. Yeah, Greg, they definitely shut down for pretty much the month of February. Like, I don't know, have I had anything ship? I have 2 things awaiting shipment. Yeah, like one was ordered on February 12th, the other was ordered on February 20th. apparently I have 17 things awaiting delivery, although I think some of them probably I have. Yeah, I have some of them, so I need to update my AliExpress orders. Right, let's take a look at this. Upload fail. I've had a good lot of upload fails this evening, like more than usual. Yeah, I'm just clicking upload again. Do you know what the problem probably is? I'm using you can't see that, I guess, but I'm using 921-600, which is super fast for uploading, but it does fail on some boards a good bit. Yeah. Okay, done uploading. Let's look at our serial monitor. Okay, cool. That's working. So let's plug back in our alarm. 22:21. Let's rush. Come on, quick, quick, quick. I suppose I can actually set the alarm for the time that it is now. The alarm stops going off when it's not, when it just changes time, so the alarm will only go off for a maximum of a minute. Maybe that's not a terrible thing. So yeah, see, I only had to tap it once there. I don't think me sending the alarm again will work. Yeah. Cool, so that works okay. Hey, LGB Kai. How is it going? I never... How's it going is a real Irish way of like saying hi to people, but and it normally works in small situations where you're just talking to like a person at a time or whatever, but anytime somebody new joins in, I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, people are probably like, why does he keep asking everybody how it's going? But that's why, because I'm Irish. Or Irish, as Unexpected Maker did in his last video. Okay, so let's look at some spiffs stuff. It's been a while since I did some spiff stuff. I'm sure I have an example somewhere. YouTube API would have one. I don't have the YouTube API here, but we can install it. Include library. Ugh. Scroll much faster than that. Manage libraries. Look at YouTube. Yep. So this is, I think this was like my second library to make. It's for getting your subscriber count from YouTube. I actually don't really have a subscriber counter for myself. I'll make one at some stage, but yeah. Examples, YouTube API, channel statistics. Oh, okay. I need to release a new version of that one. I am pretty good, LGBK. I'm tired, if you haven't been able to gather that by my even more monotone voice than usual and my general grogginess, but yeah, I'm good though. I am good, thank you for asking. So I obviously haven't released this in a while. That's interesting. I either hit reset at flash connect time or change the flash speed. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it kind of varies from board to board, because like sometimes I don't have much issues at all with it. I really need to release a new version of this. Anyways, so spiffs. Andreas Spike I still nearly feel like I think it's PS PsyQ commented on my last video that I was pronouncing Andreas's name wrong. That Spiess is pronounced Spike, as in, and you even put in brackets pokey pokey. So, but I don't know if he was lying to me. So if anybody could if anybody could confirm, that'd be good. I feel like he's just joking with me. Hey, Crafty, thanks for joining again. Yeah, so here it's kind of a built-in library, so we just need to pull in this fs.h. So let's I kind of pull this to the side and pull that in. Yeah, it's only 10:30 here, but I don't know, it's been a long day. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is pull in fs.h. So this is just a library to handle, I guess, file system. I'm also going to pull in, will I pull in Arduino JSON? No, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother bringing in Arduino JSON. What else do I want to bring in? I want to bring in load config. No, there's something I forget to add at the start of that I need to bring in. So in my setup here, I need to do spiffs.begin. So this just basically says to mount the file system, and then I am going to call a method I'm about to make called load config. I am going to bring in Arduino JSON because at some stage I want to make this config bigger than it is. So let's pull that in up here. Not required by here. That'll do. Yeah, so if I presume you're familiar with the Arduino JSON library, it's just a library for using JSON on your Arduino. It's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of my libraries are built using it. Okay, so I'm after creating a call to load config. So let's create load config. So this is from the YouTube one. So this is the config file I'm going to open. I'm going to call it alarm.json. Right, and it's going to do config file. So if that file doesn't exist, it fails to open the config file and returns false. You don't really want to do any big error when that happens, because like the first time you load up, or maybe if they haven't set an alarm yet, there won't be a config file. So we'll allow it to do whatever it needs to do. Let's just assign in some form of size. If it's that size, it's too large. I think these are just decent enough kind of default values or whatever. And then you have access to your API key and things like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move setting the alarm. So set alarm out here. I'm going to make it string alarm. I think, am I? Alarm.substring. No, I'm not. I'm going to make it set alarm, and it's going to be, what is alarm hour and what is alarm minute? Is it possible to use object-oriented programming? Hey, Shine Vision, from the Netherlands. I remember that now. Kind of. The libraries have classes in them. I don't think Arduino does, but I guess, like, you know, server is a class here now at this stage, right? So I guess that is object-oriented programming, and I think it does, like, C++ has, you know, inheritance and stuff like that, so it is kind of OOP, I would say. Yeah. Where am I? I want to... Oh yeah, I want to find out what type. Yeah, so they're ints. So my set alarm, which is going to be a void, it's going to be int hour, int minute. So yeah, I just want to use this to actually set the alarm. I guess I didn't need to do that, do I? Yeah, it's fine. Since it's just one thing. So I'm gonna read in API key string copy. No, I want to read this in as a number, please. Arduino JSON read int. Yes. 1 second now. Examples. Ooh, they've changed. They've changed their documentation. Generator. No, I want to do the opposite of that. I want to parse. Okay, I can just read it straight in as an int. Cool. So yeah, if that exists, I'll just throw it in here. I think I can do a has key or something. That might be worth doing here. Let's just copy this in here. So yeah, I'm gonna save the alarm into the JSON file as alarm hour and alarm minute, and then I'm gonna read it back out. And so as soon as that config file is loaded, our alarm hour and alarm minute will be good to go. So that should be good. Right, so I think I need to check, is it, do they exist, maybe? Root.success. There is a book. Arduino JSON book? Who would have thought? Interesting. Very interesting. Libraries can have books now. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna assume that if the config file exists, I'm gonna assume it has minutes and hours on it for the moment. It's not a good assumption, but it'll do for the minute. Right, and now the last thing I need to do is to be able to save the config. And again, I'm just copying this from, oops, I don't need that force config mode. I'm copying this from the YouTube API example. So I'm just going to do alarm hour is equal to alarm hour, alarm minute is equal to alarm minute. I want to save it in my config file, which is called alarm.json, and that should be it. Now when I'm setting the alarm, I'm going to make a call to save config and that should be it. That should be us with a persistent alarm across resets. So what if the file doesn't exist? What will happen is, so like when we run it here, the file is not going to exist. So while it's uploading, and I probably made a mistake somewhere along the line, so I'll fix that now in a second. But so if we look at it here, what it'll do is it'll come in here, it'll call load config, and it'll come down here and it will try open the config file. And if the config file is not true, it'll just fail to open the config file and return false, and then everything else will just work as normal, right? Like if it didn't exist, it's not there, and it's not going to exist the first time we run it. Hey Eric, who's Make Me Lab. So yeah, it'll just move on, and then when it comes time to saving it, it will save it here. Yeah, if it got corrupted, I guess you would need to manually fix it, or maybe even change the name of the file here would be another way. I haven't had that issue ever, so I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think this is going to be fine. Make Me Lab, you can put in a watchdog function to reset if you wanted to. Yeah, I think this is going to be fine. We'll see how it goes though. What are the alarm config values? So the alarm is set from a web interface, so when it gets a new alarm coming in here, it'll save that off to the config, so alarm hour and alarm minute. So if I set an alarm for 7 o'clock in the morning, it'll save 7 for hour and then 0 for minute, and then you know, so it's going to check for the alarm later on. So yeah, that's done uploading. If I look at my serial monitor, failed to open config file, but it still went fine. Yeah, if the file got corrupted, if you saved a new alarm, it would potentially just fix it, because it's doing a write, a W here, so it's not doing an append, I guess. I think there's an append. So like write would just create a new one, I think. So unless it just got locked in a weird state. So it failed to open the config file, which is what I was expecting. So let's where are we? Here. Let's bring in my lovely web interface. So we're at 2240. Let's try that. So it's set an alarm, setting alarm to 2240. I don't see anything to say that it successfully saved, but I don't have any messages to say it successfully failed or saved, but I don't see it saying it failed, so that must be good. If it doesn't exist, the alarm will be 000 actually, so it's going to go off at midnight if it doesn't have an alarm set. That's a good point. Okay, so there is it working anyways. So my button is turning it off. So let's set an alarm for 2241. Save the alarm. Now I'm going to plug out my board. And I'm going to plug it back in. So it's booting. Yeah, no news is good news from the serial. That is correct. Yeah, so hopefully now when this minute changes, it's going to the alarm is going to go off. So that will show that it's been persistent across resets. One of my dogs is after walking into the room. Trying to come over and say hi. No. So that's Riggins. Yeah, so that that worked, which is cool. So we have an alarm that's persistent across resets now. So the last thing I need to do is fix that issue you mentioned that if no alarm is set at any stage, then we should fix that. So what I'll just do is I'll have one that's called alarm active, and we'll set that to be false. And if it reads, if the config file reads in, maybe I should read that as a boolean. Yeah, I'll read that as a boolean, so it'll allow me to turn off the alarm later. What do I call it? Alarm active. Let's read that in there like that, and we'll. That's the opposite way around when I'm saving it. So Riggins is one of two dogs of mine. We think he's a husky. He was kind of a rescue dog. I don't really like the term rescue dog when we got him as like a 9 or 10 week old pup, like who's pretty much a full husky. He's back in here again. Can I say hi, Riggins? He's looking to go out probably. Yeah, like he didn't need much rescuing in terms of, you know, he was gonna get picked up by somebody, but yeah, he's a bit of a rogue, I would say. The other one is a much more well-mannered dog. But I don't know, he's generally pretty good in fairness to him, although he sheds like crazy. So like we brush him all the time because like you can just pluck bits off him all the time. Like he's not even shedding properly at the moment. He just, I don't know, there's a saying about huskies, they shed twice a year but it lasts 6 months each time. Yeah, so let me do this alarm active. So that's saving the config as alarm active, and I'm gonna assume if you're setting an alarm that you want the alarm to be active, and we can have some button to turn off the alarm as being active or not at the weekend or whatever we want to do later. But if we go to check for alarm, I will just do if alarm is active and hour is blah 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 blah. So no, it won't do anything at 000 except my Java didn't work for some reason. Rogue isn't the term I would normally use for him, but I try to keep my channel family friendly. So oh, there's a nice big clump there. I might let him out to the toilet because he seems to want something from me. So yeah, 2 seconds. I'll let him out while that's uploading. Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah, that's a good idea too. If I just initialized an alarm to be yeah, out of a clock range. But yeah, I think active will work okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it now. I'm actually going to use this tomorrow, so I'm going to put it down in my room. Let me, I don't want to get up too early now, but 7 o'clock. Actually, do you know what I might do as well? I might, just for the fun of it, I might just add Telegram support really quickly, because I think I can get that done in the next like 10 minutes. So then I would be able to set my alarm from anywhere. Alright, thanks for joining Shine Vision. No, I'll save that for again, because I'm pretty tired too, so next time. But it will be quick to do it. So you know, if I was in work and they were like, hey, I need you to come in at 7:30 or 8, I'd be like, okay, I can set my alarm from anywhere in the world using Telegram. But yeah, I'm just, as much as I want to do it right now, I'm just I'm too tired. So yeah, thanks for joining, everybody. If you've any questions, I'll stay around for a couple of minutes. I know there's a bit of a delay. So I'll let that sink in before I hang up. I'm still gonna set my phone. That's for sure. Yeah, my homemade alarm clock didn't work, so. But I was thinking, like, you could do kind of stuff like if you had a snooze button, you could have it do things that, like, say if you hooked up IFTTT, if you press the snooze button, it would like post to Facebook or Twitter or something, and be like, Brian is lazy, or maybe even take photos of me and put them up. Like, so you know, you have to really consider pressing that button. Google Calendar integration would be cool. It was actually, like, I've been thinking about making an alarm project for a long time, and that was something I considered. And actually, in the latest Andreas Spike video, I still can't get used to saying that, he does some integration with Google Calendars, so yeah, it's possible too. LGBK, can you back up what another German person was saying, that Andreas Spiess is pronounced Spike? Yeah, you should definitely check out Andreas's video anyways, because his was to do with reminding him to do things, and he had a button to turn it off from reminding him to do stuff. I didn't watch all of it because I was doing the stream yesterday or whatever, but it seems like it'd be a good starting point for this project. Yeah, you're waiting on the China slow boat. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say I've probably bought the last of my Wemoses for a while. I have maybe like 7 or 8 of them now, and I think I'm gonna start moving towards ESP32s more. Still like Spice. Is that how you would pronounce it? It's type into the chat what it how it is actually spelt. Yeah, so Jorg? No, it's pronounced Spike. It means spike. It's not pronounced Spike, it means spike. So how do you pronounce it? Is it spice or spice? Spice as in this meal is spicy, or is it spice? I would have thought it would be spice. I know I pronounce it spice, but spice seems to make more sense to me. Yeah, I'm not going to tell my wife either that this thing is going to beep in the morning. We'll see what she thinks of it. Another thing that would be probably worthwhile adding is actually I could probably, no, I don't want to. I'm not doing anything else. No, I didn't catch the spelling. It's he doesn't use the he doesn't use the double S that I can't remember what that's called. He just uses two S's. But that is how it's spelt, other than using two S's instead of the squiggly B thing that I can't remember what it's called. Which one is correct? Spike or Spice? Or Spike? It's like peace with an SH, like shoe before, so yeah, so Spice, yeah. E in German, IE is pronounced EE. Matt, we're two Irish people. We're talking to genuine Germans here who are telling us everything we need to know. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Sorry that this was a shorter one, and that I had the energy of a baby, but oh well. Okay, thanks. Next week we'll probably do more work on this if I don't think of something else to do in the meantime. It'd be nice to maybe finish this off, make a nicer alarm, make a nicer web interface, so there's tons of different things to do. It's funny how, like, if you think about this, like, if somebody said, hey, you know, how don't you make an alarm? And you're like, oh yeah, it's just integrate with the 7-segment display, you gotta do a little buzzer and a button or whatever. You think, yeah, that's a nice short project, but there's a lot of different stuff going on. Both dogs are outside actually, but thanks for the reminder. Yeah, Andreas, we need you to come on this live stream. Why? We want to know how to pronounce your name. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks a lot for joining, guys. I will see you next time.